I'd like to introduce Rabbi Harold Kamenker to introduce the start of our program.
Thank you, Irv. Thank you, Irv. A special thank you to Dr. Irving Zamikoff, who was the chairperson for our third annual Downtown Bradenton Hanukkah. That's for you, Irv. From the book of Maccabees. Maccabee and his followers, with God leading them on, recovered the temple and the city. So it happened on the very day when the sanctuary had been profaned, the cleansing of the temple took place, the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev. They celebrated it for 8 days with rejoicing, just like Sukkot, the Fall Tabernacles festival. Since but a little while before, at Sukkot, they were wandering around like wild beasts in mountains and caves. Now they decreed and confirmed by vote that the entire people of the Jews should celebrate these days every year. Mi Yimalel, indeed, who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid. Tonight we usher in the third night of the festival of Hanukkah, and we will soon light the symbolic menorah. You all know the story, how Mattathias and his children, led by Judah the Maccabee, battled against the Syrian Greeks, and somehow, against overwhelming odds, they emerged victorious. But the miracle of Hanukkah that we commemorate this evening, as we will kindle the menorah, commemorates that awesome moment when the Jewish people rededicated their holy temple in Jerusalem, which had been defiled. They found just one small cruse of oil, enough for one night, but somehow, we like to say miraculously, it burned for 8 nights. But that miracle would not have been possible except for one person who is the true hero of Hanukkah, and we don't even know his name. Do you know who I have in mind? I'm referring to that unknown priest in the holy temple, who in a period of great gloom and despair, when the temple was defiled and Syrian soldiers were killing Jewish loyalists, this Kohen, this priest, hid a small can of oil for future use when God would come to the aid of our people and save us. This priest had an unshakable faith that the dire condition would pass, and there would be a redemption, a rededication, a Chanukot, Beit HaMikdash, rededication of the temple. Well, he's not one of our people's most famous heroes. We don't even know his name. He's just one of those many, in quotes, little people who are not really little at all, who made Jewish survival possible. This week we are commemorating a very special moment in modern Jewish history, the 25th anniversary of the March on Washington to save Soviet Jewry. None of those 500,000 people who were present, and some folks here were at that march. Hold up your hand if you were there. There are a number of you. So at some point, go over to one of these good folks and ask them to tell you a story about that mass march on D.C. to save Russian Jewry. How could they have imagined that they were making history on that fateful day? It was that march that forced the Soviet Union to allow more than 1 million Jews to leave Russia, more than those who made the original exodus out of Egypt. Even more, in looking back, we now understand, according to scholars, that in fact that was the beginning of the end of the Soviet Union, the movement to free the Jews from Russia. The great Natan Sharansky, you remember he used to be Anatoly Sharansky, the great Natan Sharansky describes how his jail keepers told him the rally, made up of what they described as housewives and students, would never have any effect whatsoever. Well, we were those housewives and students, and we know better. We were the ones who made it happen without even knowing it. We saved the Jews of the Soviet Union, and we saved the Jewish people as well. Mi yamalel gvurot Yisrael, otan mi yimneh. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age, a hero or sage has come to our aid. Amen. Next is the Hanukkah candle blessings. I'd like to invite our cantor Alan Cohn to join me for the blessings. You'll find them in your this wonderful booklet, which was lovingly prepared for you by Dr. Irving Zamikoff. And if you can read clearly, if it's not too dark, you'll find the Hanukkah blessings in there. I'm not sure what page. I don't know if they're page 3, according to Dr. Zamikoff. Great. Cantor Allen.
Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sh'asa nisim la'avoteinu bayamim ahem b'zman hazeh.
Sure. And we sing Shehechianu only on the first night, but in honor of downtown Bradenton Hanukkah, for the third time in a row, I think this merits a heartfelt Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh.
Thank you, Cantor Allen. We'll call you back in a few minutes if we may. Just a thought before we continue our program. Many of you are familiar with the name Hannah Senish, another one of our modern heroes, one of our modern Maccabees. In 1944, at the age of 21 years old, Hannah parachuted from Palestine on a mission into Europe. She gave her life trying to save Jews from the Nazis in Hungary. Unfortunately, she did not survive the mission. She was captured and tortured and put to death by the Nazis. She wrote a poem called Blessed is the Match. It's one of my favorite poems, and I love to reflect on its words when we prepare to kindle the lights of Hanukkah. Hannah Senish wrote, Ashrei hagafrur shenisraf v'hitzit lahavot. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. Ashrei halahava sheba'ara b'sitrei levavot. Blessed is the flame that burns in the secret places of the heart. Ashrei halavavot sheyadu lachdol b'chavod. Blessed is the heart with strength to stop its beating for the sake of honor. Ashrei hagafrur shenisraf v'hitzit lahavot. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. We remember Hannah Senish, one of our modern Maccabees. Now for the story of Hanukkah, I'd like to call upon Rina Morano, the educator from Congregation Ner Tamid.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. I'm Rena. I'm service leader and a member of the board and chair of education for Ner Tamid. I've got a great story for you tonight. The Hanukkah story occurred around the Jewish year 3593, and that was 167 BCE, approximately 2,179 years ago. So this is the well-known story of Hanukkah, along with a few facts that you might not know. Antiochus he was the king, and he had an idea that wasn't terribly original. He launched a culture war to unify his kingdom, and he required that everybody follow his religion. Antiochus wanted Israel to be a loyal Greek state, and so he demanded that the Jews become loyal Greek citizens. He felt that the Jews could not be fully loyal unless they were Hellenized, that is to say, forcibly made to embrace Greek culture. He therefore started a campaign, and he tried to eradicate not the Jewish people per se, but Judaism. He felt that insinuating Greek idolatry and Greek values into the Jewish people would be the most effective way of getting rid of the Jews as a people. First, Antiochus offered positive reinforcement to the Jews. He offered rewards to those who would adopt Greek hairstyles and those who would compete in the Greek Olympic Games, thereby eventually assimilating and worshiping the Greek gods and so on. The rewards were the carrot, but Antiochus also carried a stick. He forbade the observance of Rosh Chodesh, the celebration of the new month. Anyone who circumcised their male child would be put to death. Keeping the Sabbath also earned a death sentence. He even made it a rule that any Jewish woman who got married for the first time must spend the night of the first wedding night with the Greek ruler. Now, many Jews, we don't know if it was the majority, but it's possible that it was. Many of them chose to follow Antiochus's Hellenizing program. The idea of assimilating was very attractive. Josephus, who was the Jewish historian from the first century, points out that during this era, there were cities in Israel that were populated by Jews, but it was impossible to tell. Everyone spoke Greek. They had Greek hairstyles and Greek clothes. There were Greek-style athletic games. There were even Greek altars and idols all over the place. And basically, there was a totally Greek atmosphere. There were some Jews, however, who were committed to maintain the traditional way of life. Some of these traditionalists finally decided to fight back. A family of priests called the Hashmoneans, and we often call them the Maccabees, descendants of Shimon HaTzadik, a famous high priest of the Second Temple. They rose up in revolt against the Greeks. There were a few incidents that sparked this revolt. One well-known legend is about Yehudit, whom we call Judith. She was the daughter of the high priest Yochanan, and it was her wedding night. And Yehudit was taken to the Greek ruler Holofernes. She gave him heavy cheeses to eat and wine to drink. The cheese made him very thirsty, and he got drunk. And when he got very drunk, she grabbed his sword and she cut off his head, which sparked a panic among his leaderless legion and led to their defeat in battle. Well, there was another event that happened as well to spark the revolt. A Hellenistic Jew tried to sacrifice a pig on an altar to a Greek god in a city called Modi'in. And that was where the Maccabees lived. The Maccabees prevented the sacrifice, and the Greek garrison intervened. A battle ensued, and this small group of untrained Jews drove out the Greek soldiers. The rebellious Jews were very weak compared to the well-trained Greek army. In fact, they were composed largely of Kohanim, who were the priestly caste, and the only segment of the Jewish population that did not receive military training. But they succeeded, and they did this by using guerrilla tactics. Miraculously, with the help of only a small percentage of the population and against the massively overwhelming, larger Greek forces, that small band of Maccabees prevailed. The Maccabees then managed to rededicate the temple, which, by the way, was not destroyed by the Greeks. The Greeks had kept the temple standing, but they had also Hellenized it. They had transformed it into a Greek house of worship. There were Greek murals on the walls. It was filled with Greek altars and statues. After their victory, the Maccabees cleaned up the temple and they rededicated it. Jewish tradition that teaches that the miracle we celebrate, the miracle of the oil burning for 8 days, signified that it was not just skill and guerrilla warfare that made the Maccabees victorious, but by causing the oil to burn so many days, that was a sign that God had really approved of what the Maccabees did, and that it was God who had intervened on their behalf. Jews still celebrate Hanukkah by lighting menorahs, so that the gold of the menorah still shines brightly even today, thousands of years after the temple's destruction. Special prayers are recited. God is thanked for his role in saving the Jews from the Greek threat. So what happened after the victory? The Maccabees went on to restore the Jewish monarchy. Even though there were still Greek garrisons in parts of Israel, the Maccabees won independence for the Jews, and they restored the Jewish kingdom, which lasted for another 200 years. So, Chag Hanukkah Sameach, happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Before our program continues, just a pause in honor of Jewish unity. There's a song all about Jewish unity, and we all know it. It's Hine Ma Tov. It says, "Behold how good and how pleasant when we all come together in peace." Indeed, Temple Bethel, Congregation Ner Tamid, join together at this special time of the year to say a message of unity, to proclaim a message of coming together, togetherness and oneness, to offer a message of hope for the future of the Jewish community in Manatee County. So if you are sitting next to someone you do not know, maybe you're from Temple Bethel and they're from Ner Tamid, or maybe they're unaffiliated, maybe they don't belong to any synagogue, perish the thought. Please turn to someone. You don't have to get up and walk around, but just if you're sitting next to or almost next to someone you don't know, reach out, extend a hand, and introduce yourself and say Happy Hanukkah. Go ahead. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Everyone. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Indeed, behold how good and how pleasant when Jews come together in unity, in mutual respect, and in peace. And now it is my pleasure to call upon the president of Temple Bethel, Dr. Lois Gerber, for the continuation of our wonderful program tonight.
Thank you and welcome. I'm so glad that everybody got here and the rain didn't get here. It's going up north. It's going up north. You know what Moses did? All right, well, if we feel any rain, just turn around and go right up north. This is the time when we do what we came to do, and that's to light the menorah. The problem that we have is that it's the third night of Hanukkah, but we can't light individual lights, so we're going to pretend it's the eighth night of Hanukkah, and we're going to do the whole thing, okay? And that's all right. That's all right. So, I'm going to be the shamus, because I'm probably the oldest, and then I will call up the rest of the candle lighter people by name, and this is being shared by Temple Bethel and Ner Tamid. The shamus candle, as you know, is the one that we light first every night, and the rest of the candles are lit from it. As one candle may kindle many others, and yet lose none of its own light, so Judaism has kindled the light of truth for many religions in many lands, and still shines brightly through the ages. The first candle will be, if I can get my list here.
But before that,
What? Put it on.
no, wait till the end. No, she said to do it.
Put it on.
Ready?
Everybody clap. Yay! It's amazing what we can do when we get together. She was there all night just to do that. Thank you, Robin. First candle is being lit by Mark Henry from Congregation Ner Tamid.
We remember the dedication. We remember the dedication and courage of the Maccabees. We give thanks for the freedom that is ours, and we dedicate ourselves to the ideals of justice and democracy. First candle.
That's it, good. Second candle will be lit by Neil Spiritus from Temple Bethel.
Second candle is about knowledge. We give thanks for the gift of Torah and the opportunity to study. We rededicate ourselves to the deepening of understanding our heritage of wisdom.
Now, since this is the third night of Hanukkah, let's really hear it for the third candle, who will be lit by Shirley Solomon from Congregation Ner Tamid.
The third candle is good deeds. We remember our heritage of righteousness that call upon us to remember that we were strangers in the land of Egypt. We rededicated ourselves to helping the poor, the hunger, the neglected.
Fourth candle by our new grandfather, Neil Clark from Temple Bethel.
Community. We remember that we are part of a larger family of humankind, all created in the image of God. We rededicate ourselves to uphold the dignity and humanity of all peoples.
Fifth candle from Congregation Ner Tamid, Avery Manovich.
We take pride in the accomplishments of the pioneers and builders of the State of Israel. We dedicate ourselves to support their efforts to create a flowering garden in the desert.
The sixth candle from Temple Bethel, our Education Director, Susie Kornikoff.
Hope. We call to mind the yearnings of our brothers and sisters who still live under oppression. We rededicate ourselves to keep the flame of their aspirations alive.
The seventh candle, and I know that Masha must do something at Congregation Ner Tamid, Masha Shepherd.
Family. We give thanks for the precious gift of loved ones who share our joys and sorrows. As we gather together, we rededicate ourselves to strengthening the bonds that draw ourselves to one another.
And our last candle, the eighth candle, is lit by the Admiral of Temple Bethel, Jonas Ellis.
The eighth night, peace. We are mindful that, like Jews in every age, we live in a troubled world that cries out for harmony. We rededicate ourselves to the responsibility of securing shalom, peace, for all humankind.
Hag Sameach. And now, to really make our ceremony even more special, I want to introduce Rabbi Barbara Aiello doing Bendigamos.
Hag Hanukkah Sameach to everyone, and welcome to Ner Tamid congregants, to Temple Bethel, to some of the Kobernik families that I see here. I serve the Kobernik house as their resident rabbi, and also some of my radio rabbi listeners. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for inviting me. It's a very wonderful time for all of us to be together. Let me tell you a little bit about the Bendigamos song. We did it last year, and last year we were freezing, remember? So it's such a nice night tonight. And Rabbi Kaminker talked about how 25 years ago we widened the circle of our mishpucha by including Soviet Jews. And in recent times we make that circle even wider by including anusim. Anosim is a Hebrew word that means those who were forced, or the forced ones. And the Anosim movement includes those who were forced to convert and to leave their Jewish religion as a result of the Inquisition and the expulsion from Spain. Now, many of you know Yiddish, right? Oy vey, Ismir. The other Jewish language is Ladino, which is a combination not of Hebrew and German, but of Hebrew and Spanish. And just 2 weeks ago, the Spanish government decreed that Jews who were expelled and who can document their Jewish heritage can now become Spanish citizens and reclaim their heritage and reclaim their past. There are many Spanish people in our communities, both in Sarasota and Manatee counties. And if your name ends in Iez, Gutierrez, Rodriguez, Gomez, you have Jewish roots. So if you know anyone with those names, you can tell them that they are part of the mishpucha as well. And first, let's just practice the words. The words are bendigamos al el Altísimo. Let's try that. Bendigamos a el Altísimo, al Señor que nos creó, al Señor que nos creó. Démosle agradecimiento. Démosle agradecimiento por los bienes que nos dio, por los bienes que nos dio. Alabado su santo nombre. Alabado su santo nombre, porque siempre nos ha apiado. Porque siempre nos ha apiado. And these are the Hebrew words that we know from the Hallel. Odul Adonai kitov, Odul Adonai kitov, ki leolam chasdo. And they mean, blessed is the one most high, the Lord who created us. Let us give thanks for all the good things given to us. Praised is his holy name, for he always has mercy upon us. And the Bendigamos song is also sung on the seventh night of Hanukkah. The seventh night of Hanukkah is when the month changes. It is the only Jewish holiday where we actually change the month from Kislev to Tevet. And so it's Rosh Chodesh, which has been traditionally a woman's festival. But on the seventh night of Hanukkah, so ladies, get ready, okay? That's the day traditionally in Spain and Portugal and throughout the south of Italy and Sicily as well, that women were given a special piece of jewelry. Say yes, isn't that nice? So you can revive that tradition as we revive an Anosim song. One of the things that I especially like about this song is that we sing it at Grace after meals in Italy, and I do serve a small congregation in southern Italy called Ner Tamid del Sud, the eternal light of the South, reminding us that our Jewish presence there never died. So let's try the song. Bendigamos al Altísimo, al Señor que nos creó. Démosle agradecimiento por los bienes que nos dio. Alabado su santo nombre, porque siempre nos ha apiado. Odula Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam hasdo. Hag Sameach, everyone.
Right now, we have the pleasure of asking Cantor Alan Cohn to come up with the Temple Bethel congregation near Tamid, whoever is around choir. We weren't too sure.
It's indeed my honor and privilege to be here with you tonight. This is a very special occasion in the city of Bradenton, and I welcome you here on behalf of Mayor Wayne Poston and the City Council and all of the city of Bradenton. Light One Candle was written by Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary fame, and it does kind of sound like a folk song for those of us that can remember Peter, Paul, and Mary. And as I said, please join in on the chorus with us. I think that would be wonderful if we're able to do it all together. Light one candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. And light one candle for the wisdom to know that the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering a pain they learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, that anger not tear us apart. And light one candle to bind us together with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep it alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died? We cry out, they have not died in vain. We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. One more time. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Thank you all. Happy Hanukkah and a very wonderful Happy New Year.
Mwah. You're beautiful.
And now we're going to have Rock of Ages, Ma'osur.
Ma'osur Yeshuati Lechana El Shabeach Tikon Tefilati V'sham Toda Nizabeach Ve'etachin Matpeach Mitzvah Nabeach Azek Mor B'shir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach Azek Mor B'shir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach Rock of Ages, let our song praise the saving power. You amid the raging foes were our sheltering tower. Furious they assailed us, but your arm availed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us.
And we have a last verse.
Children of the Maccabees, whether free or fettered, wake the echoes of the songs where you may be scattered. Yours the message cheering that the day is nearing, which will see all go free, tyrants disappearing, which will see all go free, tyrants disappearing.
And now Mi Yamalel.
Mi Yamalel Gvurot Yisrael Potaniyim Hen Bechodor Yakun Hagibor Koel.
Again.
Mi Yamalel Gvurot Yisrael Potaniyim Hen Bechodor Yakum Hagibor Koel Shma Bayamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh Maccabi Moshia Ufodeh Uvyamenu Kol Am Yisrael Yitached Yakum Lehigael. Mi Yemalel Gvurot Yisrael Otaniyim Hen Bechodor Yakum Hagibor Koel.
In English.
Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid. Here, in days of yore in Israel's ancient land, brave Maccabeus led the faithful band. But now all Israel must as one arise, redeem itself through prayer and sacrifice. Beginning. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or age came to our aid. I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. Oh, dreidel, 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 now dreidel I shall play. It has a lovely body, with legs so short and thin, and when it gets so tired, it drops and then I win. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. Oh, dreidel, 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 now dreidel I shall play. My dreidel's always playful, it loves to dance and spin. A happy game of dreidel, come play now, let's begin. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. Oh, dreidel, 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 now dreidel I shall play.
Now we end with O Hanukkah. And we'll start with Yiddish, and then we'll do the English.
Oy Chanukah, Jante Vashene, a lustiger, a freilicher, nicht da noch an seine. Alle Nacht in Dreidel spielen wir, sie die heiße Latkes essen mir. Geschwindet sind Kinder, die dienige Lichter kommen. Sagt Nisim, Leut Gott vor die Nisim, und komm, geh tanzen und komm. Sagt Nisim, Leut Gott vor die Nisim, und komm, geh tanzen und komm. O Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Dreidels to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of lost days long ago. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago.
You were all very good. Thank you.
I was asked to announce that when we conclude our program, there are some refreshments under the overhang. There's some Hanukkah cookies, very Hanukkah looking, almost as Hanukkah looking as my very nondescript sweater that some of you actually noticed. I'm really surprised. Do you like it? Thank you, thank you. I read about this, there's a new company that makes, they've got about 4 or 5 different designs. Some of them are for men, some are for women. It's called Gelt Fiend. It's a funny name. They have a website. I'm really not trying to, get business for them, but it's obviously a conversation piece. And it's such a joyous way to celebrate one of our happiest festivals. So indeed, Chag Sameach and Happy Hanukkah. Yeah.
Now you can enter the ugliest sweater contest for Christmas. We finally made it. We always felt left out every year that we couldn't enter that contest. And here he is. Such a good sport. Please, at the end of the program, join us for refreshments, and there's dreidels and there's gelt. And remember that this is one of the festivals that we celebrate because we were suppressed, we survived, and now we eat.
Happy Hanukkah, Chag Sameach. Please wish each other Happy Hanukkah.